So it is Wednesday. Hello, folks, and welcome. It is Wednesday. This is the Livestream Wednesday. It's Amelia. If you are in the chat and I see there are some of you there, please let me know that all of the things are working. Folks, I got to tell you, as soon as somebody tells me that they can hear everything, it has been a rough week or so for motivation, for energy for this project. That's what I'm going to talk a bit about today. People saying, confirming they can see and hear, which is awesome. Today I'm rocking the Otis swag. It's a super nice shirt and I like wearing them. Thank you very much, Otis, for the t-shirt. I'm happy to rock swag. So if you happen to have t-shirts or a business or a brand and you would like it to be in the stream, feel free to send it to me. I'm happy to wear them. So checking the chat, saying hi to Pete and to Keith and to Zach and Graham and Margaret, Joanne and Sarah. All of my favorite folks are here already. And if you're coming in later, it's okay. You are also my favorite. So on the plate today, I gotta say, first off, me, like many folks, have been somewhat, I guess, distracted, disheartened, feeling very strongly the events in the world that are going on right now, and without taking a side or using this as a platform, I just say I'm thinking a lot about other people in this world who are having a tough time right now and wishing so much that there was more that I could do. So also have to say that I'm not sure one way or another in this last week whether or not world events that are happening right now had a direct impact on the traffic that I saw with sites. There was a lot of rumbling and grumbling about there being another Google adjustment update in the last week. I definitely saw one, and I was thinking back as I was getting ready for today's live stream and like kind of clapping to myself, like patting myself on the back, like, yeah, the Mega site is gonna hit 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 page views. 1,000. You can see my brain is still catching up. 100,000 page views in a month, and I was like just sure in my mind that I would come back in a week, that I would be back here today, like being able to pat myself on the back. But then Google comes in and is like, no, it's not going to be this week. And probably won't be next week either. Yes. So I don't know if, and then this is the call out for folks. Like, did anybody else happen to get swept into whatever adjustments that Google is doing the last week, specifically towards the end of the week? Because, yeah, that happened. And the Mega site is not going to hit 100,000 page views over the last 30 days. Soon. I think it's going to be a while. I was pretty demotivated. Depressed is another good word for how I felt over the weekend, because traffic fell 20 to 25% over a 2 to 3 day period. And I was like, maybe it's time for an analytics break, detox, because again, like my motivation for everything, including sites that were not impacted at all by whatever adjustment was happening, was impacted. I didn't want to work on anything. I ended up, posting the content that I had ordered that was in the queue that was ready to go, and then I cleaned house and I did other things, and now I kind of regret a bit having wasted that time not using it on my business stuff, but I just didn't have the heart for it, because I just really impacted by how the stats look. And this is why I don't look very often. I say once a day in the morning, and then that's it. I don't look again all day unless I have like a legitimate business reason to log into Google Analytics. But anyway, yeah, that happened. Checking the chat, I see Adrian and Anthony and Eric. What's going on? Folks, I see Zach saying, not to take a side, but y'all should check out Ahrefs' awesome discount for donating to certain nonprofits right now. All right, thank you for letting us know that there is an Ahrefs discount because Ahrefs cause a ridiculous costs a lot, and if you're not actively using it, I don't say on a daily basis, but on a monthly basis, it's really hard to justify the subscription. Anthony says his main site is down 30%, and the site that he bought from Carl is also down 30%. Sad times. Hashtag sad times. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is the haps. This is the business. This is part of it. This is why I totally understand when people make the decision to sell one of these sites, like to just take some of the profits off the table, just to secure the value of something that you have built so that it is impervious to the whims of another entity that we cannot control. So if you're catching this live or on the replay, feel free to commiserate either in the chat or in the comments below to say, hey, me too, I got sucked into it. Or if not, we can just like clap for you and be like, thank goodness. Like, I'm really, really glad that other people did not get swung into it. I mean, every time it happens, I'm always like, oh, thank goodness. But anyway, so check that off the list. As far as RPMs have gone, I've heard things up and down going on right now. I've had some people report that RPMs in the last week, like not just that things were low for Q1, but took like an additional nosedive in the last week. And I wondered if anybody else had that happen and any thoughts about who, what, when, where, or why. For me personally, I have noticed maybe better RPM than I was expecting for the month of February. And I think one of the reasons is that I invested last year really heavily in articles that were location based, like they had some sort of either city or state or country attached to the topic, like a long tail keyword involving a place. Those articles in the last couple of weeks, maybe month, have really started to take off. Maybe they've come out of the authority sandbox thing. And so a lot of these articles are now in my top 20 or 30 as far as traffic goes. And the RPM for these seems to be better than some of my other articles that don't involve place names. And I don't know if this is going to continue through the year. I don't know whether to say, yay, like Q4 is going to be amazing because these articles could only do better later on in the year. I have no idea if this is seasonal traffic, right? Because it involves a place name. But I just think it's really interesting to see those articles take off right now, and then to see what it's doing to the RPM. Adrian says, are you talking about the Google page experience update for desktop that is confirmed? So here's the thing. I don't know if my site got sucked into that. And I really think, I don't think so. All of my sites are built the same way, and they all have like similar like ratings as far as setup and page loading and speed. And also the Amiga site gets really little, like very little desktop traffic. If this was an update to mobile, I'd be like, yeah, I'm totally getting sucked into this. But desktop traffic is such a small fraction of what the Amiga site does. And to me, I don't think so. But maybe. Here's the thing though, my Subrobot, my rank tracker, it looks great, right? It looks better than ever, right? So in the meantime, traffic is falling and the rank tracker is like, oh, like things are awesome. So the keywords that I'm tracking look great. It could be that there's some keywords that I'm not tracking, long tail keywords that I was getting traffic for that I'm just not paying attention to because I don't look at my Google Search Console that much. That I'm no longer ranking for, or somebody else suggested this, that maybe there's some other like Google rich content like that has I still rank and still in the same place, but there's something else that Google is doing that is stealing the click, right? So you're still number one, still show up as number one in Subrobot, but not getting the click because there's some other something that Google is doing to snatch that user out from under you. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've kind of been waiting to see if anybody else has anything to say or to think about it. Like people investigated previously. Doesn't seem to be really widespread. So I don't know. I don't know. Zach says for him, it's been a rough week for sure. Took some time off to just call up the family to chat. Wasn't feeling the writing flow. That happens. Yeah, Adrian, I think it was the unconfirmed one, I think. Anthony says, but if you sell a site, then you got to find somewhere to put that money so it doesn't lose its value to inflation, or so you don't end up having to pay taxes on all of it. See, I have these things called children. And so I have three of them, and eventually they're going to want to go to college. And so I feel obligated here at some point to put money aside for them to help launch them. It's pretty common for families in the United States to save money for, college fund, right? And if the kid decides not to go to college, then they can maybe use that to buy a house or to go on a trip or to do something. So I have it in the back of my mind that eventually I will need to sell something to put that money aside somewhere, so that they have that pot of money that they can do something with for college. But we'll see. Graham says that he's down about 20% overall, but starting to see traffic trickling back every day, getting 300 to 500 less visitors a day. Yeah, time for wine. Yeah, it is super demotivating. It really is. And so we just have to find a way to mentally get past it, get over it, get through it. It's like, what is going to get you back to the computer today? And for me, I will tell you that what has gotten me back to this chair was my accountability lever of having to be here for this live stream today, because I got up and I'm working on my coffee this morning and I don't feel that motivated. And but for this group right here and my consistent commitment and folks also agreeing to be here, I don't know if I would have gotten here today. And now that I'm here, I might as well do some work. I have a whole bunch of content that is waiting for me in the queue to edit and post. I mean, it's there for me to do. I just needed to get here. So thank you. Thank you with a question mark. Thank you is what I mean. There is Maeve. What's going on? Maeve has been in the Icarus Project Icarus spreadsheet and crushing it pretty much. Maeve, thank you so much for joining us. I also wanted to just give a quick shout out to the folks who have moved over from the February tab to the March tab. And as we knew would happen, January starts out really strong. There's like 50 people in there, more than 50 people. And then February is just a couple less and a couple less. And for some folks, I feel like they get in there and they realize that maybe that's not what they expected, or maybe it doesn't work for them, or maybe they want to do other things. But then there's quite a few people this year who are coming along and want to keep working. So it's really cool to see the consistent faces. That's awesome. Faces, name, people, progress. And also it's cool to just know what your guys' progress is, like what it is that you've been working on, and be able to look back. And the reason I'm pointing over there is my other screen is over there. I can see who's in there and what your goals are and stuff. And yeah, it's just really cool. Checking back to the chat, Zach says a lot of people are seeing dips in impressions and clicks with no decrease in ranking. So it's probably not just the updates. Okay, so that's good to know. The owner of Affiliate said they were seeing decreases across their user base too, coinciding with the timing of recent global events. Yeah, it's really hard to tell whether or not what's going on in the world versus Google. I mean, essentially, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now, and I'm probably not going to figure it out on my own because there's no objective way to say this is it, because it's just happening right at the same time that Google is making some adjustments. So I can't control any of that. So I really should take my own advice and stop looking at Google Analytics and just go edit and post that content that is waiting for me in the queue. Yeah. Maeve says, my main ecom business is way down since the war broke out. I think people are just watching news right now and not surfing sites. I think when people get nervous or scared, they also tend to hang on to the things that they have, right? Like money in their bank or in their hands, like in their wallets, or, just like hunker down, like, okay, I don't want to expend resources right now because maybe I will need them. Adrian says, when adding keywords in Subrobot, do you add the specific keyword for desktop only or add it for mobile and tablet as well in Subrobot? So for me, when I set up Subrobot, it sets it up as a project for desktop or mobile. And that's a really good point, actually, because I think I have one of my sites set up for mobile and another one for desktop. So I guess you're probably right. And I'm not embarrassed to admit this, that for the desktop experience, if if this project is set up on mobile, then how would I know? So I'm going to go look now to see how this is set up. So the Icarus project is set up for mobile and the Mega site is set up for desktop. It is set up for desktop. So I guess that doesn't solve the question of what's happening. It just means that so far I can rest on my laurels of what my previous opinion was. I don't think it has to do with the desktop mobile experience, desktop Google experience update. But, you know, what do I know? Keith says he can't believe it's March. And I said, I know, because we have March, April, May, June, and then school's out and it's summer again already. Like, how? How is this possible? Corey says, seeing the dip as well. Started off 25 to 30% down, now about 15% down. Hopefully it will correct itself since I didn't see a huge change in rankings. Okay, so a lot of people are seeing a drop in traffic without changes in rankings. Zach says he's still writing 2021 on everything. Yeah, I kind of like, I've been saying 2023, even though I don't know why. It makes no sense. Like looking ahead 1 year, and I've been screwing it up all over the place. The dip was motivating to create more content to compensate, since it happened right before I was in a traffic goal for a media event. So that is a great way to turn this on its head, right? You see the traffic fall and you're like, I don't feel like working. I don't want to waste my time. And Corey's like, man, I had better go do more work because I had this goal and I'm not going to get there if I don't go and do more work. So well done, Corey. There is D dropping in. She says, sorry, I'm late. Late. Hashtag work. I mean, it happens to the best of us. I mean, really, no drama at all. Graham says, I just feel lately that being at Google and Amazon's mercy is too risky to plan long-term with sites. Well, friend, there is no way to ignore the fact that this business is risky, right? And, you know, for people to say, oh, it's not risky, you know, that's not, I don't think that that's accurate, that is, like, it ignores the fact that there is a lot of risk here. And so everybody here, I think, is trying to balance the risk along with the potential rewards, because if we can figure out how to navigate this, I mean, the rewards are really big. It definitely is. There is definitely less risk, but for me to get maybe a job down the street working for a law firm, right? I'm not going to lose my job with the Google update, but it doesn't mean necessarily that there is no risk in having a job and working for someone else. I just feel like in our communities, in our societies, we are raised to believe, encouraged to believe that working for someone else, that is less risky than maybe being an entrepreneur. But I don't think that that's true. You can lose your job in a heartbeat, in an instant. Like a Google update could come and like just slash everything and you'd be in the same place. So there is risk everywhere when you have to rely upon someone else, something else to eat, right? To get money, to pay for things to eat. And it's just the risk that we accept, that we think about, that we place on it. Just feel like it's different because of the way that we're raised to perceive working for someone else. We're raised to believe that is less risky, and I don't think that that's true. Keith says, this is why the buy and flip with 3 to 6 months model is beginning to look attractive. If you can do it, there's money to be made there. Adrian says, you can add every keyword for each platform and see positions for same keyword for each platform. Downside, you spend more credits. Yes, I know, which is why I haven't done it. because I'm so cheap. I just figured I would do my best and pick one, and then it would go. And so with the Miga site, I set it up for desktop because I didn't know any better. And then for other ones, I've set it up with mobile because now I know that most of my traffic is mobile. Uh, but yeah, yeah. Sonia says that she lost a couple thousand in traffic, but I think it's because of February had fewer days in the month. Yes, well, that is why it's good to do last 30 days versus just February. Joanne says, still new to this, saw a drop and thought it was me. Well, I mean, could have been, right? Like, it could have been just you. I don't know. Graham says, risk is a part of life. Yes, it is risky to get in the car and drive to the grocery store, to get on a plane and fly to another country. It's just some risks we like really perceive strongly and like we were really fearful of them, and other risks we just kind of be like, oh well, that's fine. Like I'm more likely to die driving the kids to school, than I would be getting onto an airplane. But something like an airplane might seem more scary than driving the kids to school. More people definitely die in cars than they do in planes. Checking my list of stuff to talk about, I wondered if anybody could give me, or everybody could give me, just a roundup of where they are with indexing. I've heard from some other folks that indexing, like Google indexing things on its own, is getting better. I on the Miga site, I was using, and we had talked about this a couple weeks ago. I tried out the rank math plugin, and then took it off after I updated it, and it crashed the site. So I'm not using it anymore. But content that I am putting on the site now, since I stopped using the plugin, is indexing really fast within 24 hours, which is unusual. And when I say indexing, I mean it's popping up in Subrobot. It's not showing up in any of the crawl but not indexed tab, or in the discovered but not indexed tab in Google tabs in Google Search Console. For me, if it shows up in Subrobot, I'm like, it's good. And it was taking a long time, sometimes maybe never, showing up in the rank tracker. And I don't know what's different. I truly don't think that the rank math plugin, obviously it's not doing anything now. But I wondered if anybody else was seeing any changes, because I'm curious. People are asking Adrian how he is doing. Dee says she's still having some indexing issues, but I don't know whether it's because I added a lot of content. So you mean that you think your crawl budget from Google has been expended? Sarah says indexing has been better the past week, but it took over a month for 15 articles from January to show up. Eric says his 90 articles still are not indexed. So I've heard some other folks who have had some success changing the URLs, like doing either a 301 redirect or republishing the article and dumping the other one and trying again. I wondered if you had tried anything yet like that, or even just doing a whole 301 redirect of the domain to a new domain, and you say maybe the problem is at the domain level rather than the article level, or with the like something, just something to light a fire to make something happen. I was curious. Zach says fully indexed, but I never had an indexing issue. He says he does use rank math and extensive internal linking. Yeah, I don't know. I just wondered if anybody, like, I've heard other people saying that it's better, and would love to hear, especially in the comments for folks who are catching this on the replay, if you notice that indexing is any better or worse or the same. And then if we could figure out what people are doing, maybe there's something that people are doing that is helping. Dee says, anybody had the issue on Ezoic? Reason, site down or unavailable under ad manager domain status. I tried to add a site that's approved by ad manager and just failing at this. I have not had that happen, but if anybody else has, please mention it in the chat or in the comments, because I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what's going on over there. Adrian says, in talking about the events going on around the world, he says, the truth is I force myself to work to take my mind off what's going on. Our borders are crowded and people are helping a lot. Well, that's positive. It's positive that people are helping. I mean, it just seems like there's so little that that can be done. Like I'm sitting here at my house. I'm like, what is it that I can do? Eric says for site number 2 that is completely not indexed, he said he used the instant indexing plugin from Rank Math and have not done anything else yet. Yeah, for me that when I first deployed it, it didn't work immediately. It took 4 or 5 days for me to really see anything happen, but then things started to happen. So I wouldn't give up yet. Checking back to my chat. Oh, I wanted to do my freelancer publishers needing content call out. I'm trying to do this at least once in every show. Just remind people that if you are a publisher who needs content and you are a freelancer in this group who creates content for money and you need to connect, you are welcome to use this minute or somewhere in this to say, hey, just so you know, I'm a freelancer and here's what I can create. And obviously, if I don't know you or have not used your services, I cannot recommend you. But this is a great way to use this opportunity to connect with other people and maybe get some things like, like everybody gets something they want. They want to earn some money and they want to get some content or stuff or whatever. As far as how things are going. All right. This will be my accountability moment. And I hope for those of you who are in the chat right now that you will, even if you're lurking and working, just do an accountability update or statement to say how things have gone in the last week so we can share those and then figure out what we're going to do. I set like crazy goals for the year. I said, oh, I want to get the Miga site to 1,000 posts, but kind of like under the radar, I made the decision that I wanted to get 2,000 posts posted in 1 year across all of my properties. So just to get 2,000 done. In 2021, my goal was to get 500 posts done on the Miga site. And I really didn't hardly do anything else. I did 15 posts a month on the fight site, but I mean, going from, like 600 or 700 posts in a year to 2,000 is a pretty significant jump. And so I'm like, all right, I spend like the end of December, like trying to balance it out, figure out how I was going to make it happen. And this is the number of posts I would need to do in a month. And so far, it's not working. I basically need either more money or more time or both. And so I had to have the come to Jesus talk with myself in the last week or so about appropriate expectations and about failure because I had failed in both January and February to meet the content goals that I had set for myself. And then also to be okay with it because turns out I didn't really do that badly overall. I just didn't make my goals. In January, I think I did 120 or 130 articles. And in February, in the short month, I did 100 articles, right? Like that's great. Like if I continue to go down that road, I'll get over 1,000 articles done in the year, which is awesome. But because I had set this lofty goal, I set myself up basically to crash and burn. And I always do this. But I do not want to burn out. So yeah, I just have to, I had that sort of like, went through this thought process and sort of reevaluated, what I thought I could get done. And then Google comes in as like, no, you know, so it was like a mentally difficult week, like the burden, and so much of it was self-imposed, right? Like a self-imposed like burden I put on myself because turns out I did a pretty good job in February. 100 articles, working. I still have kids a lot of the days, and I have a lot of days where I don't work at all. So I should feel good. And so I'm working on that, sort of reevaluating where I'm going to get this. But one of the things in doing so I'm like, oh, I need more content. But another thing that I want to start working on, I'm going to do more in this month of March, is doing things to my sites to try to get more out of the content that I already have. And so doing some revising, revamping, updating, I did the math on the media site for how many page views the articles get on average. And I don't want to I don't want to say I'm embarrassed, but I feel like underwhelmed by it because I have a lot of content and some of that content doesn't get a lot of traffic. On average, the posts get about between 130 and 100 page views in a month. So I just took the traffic, 90 some thousand page views, and divide it by the number of articles, and you get the average page views per article, right? And you're like, oh, well, that's not awesome. And then I made the mistake of catching the beginning of the income school video, the $0 to $4,000 a month in 12 months plan. And their plan to get to 4,000 a month is like, oh, you need like 170 or 200 articles that get at least 700 page views a month. And I'm like, oh god. But then I had to remind myself, and I will point this out for folks that are also kind of in that similar position, that not every keyword and not every article is going to get 700 page views in a month. For me, I target really long tail, low competition keywords, right? As long tail as possible. And especially when you're targeting zero search terms, like zero traffic search terms, most likely it's not just me doing a bad job. I mean, I might be doing that, but there's a lot of search terms that aren't going to get 700 page views a month, right? You say, okay, well, what you would do, with the zero search terms is combine them, right? And like make a master article that would get, more traffic. And I said, yeah, you could do that. You can do the Army Ants method and make that happen. But for me, I'm doing shorter articles, not short articles, but shorter articles, like focusing on that long tail keyword. And then instead of putting it in the same article, I'm going on and writing another article for other long tail keywords. Like that is just my strategy. And so most of my articles do not get 700 page views a month. But I do think that there probably is a lot that I can do to get more page views out of the articles that I have, right? So maybe it's going back and reviewing my on-page SEO tactics and strategies. It's been a year, right? Like, or maybe since some of that content was posted, or maybe I was in a hurry and didn't necessarily do everything on page that I needed to, or maybe there is more effective interlinking that I can do. And it's been a year, and so I I I don't know this, but I suspect that there is a certain amount of freshness, or I mean, Google in assessing whether to serve up an article, I think Google knows when the article was last updated. And that may or may not play a role in whether or not that article is served. So I do try to make it part of the plan to go back, and I pull up the sitemap, and then I just go to the one, look at the last modified, and then just go to the bottom and look for, the one that was last, furthest away, like from last updated, and then just start there and like slowly work my way through. And then sometimes it's just reviewing it and scanning it, but the plan is to just go down to the stuff that was updated last, and then see if there's one more question that I can answer, or two more questions that I could answer. Just doing a quick search and finding maybe some more keywords that I could add in, or just something to try to make more of the content that I have. So I can get over that 100,000 page views a month mark, so I can put myself on the path to 200,000 page views a month, and just try to do more with what I have. But in as part of that, I did spend, well, I don't want to say a couple hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, just redoing the homepage. Right, my homepage was really sweet, really simple, but it was created before I had much content. I just set it up and then forgot about it. It's like, oh well, maybe it's time now to do a revamp of this. Now that I have more categories, I have more content. Maybe I have more articles, and just to do more with it, right? So that's where I started in the last week. And so my hope is in the next couple of months that I don't, obviously I won't be able, not obviously, I won't be able to update everything, right? But if I could just go through and just make it a habit of, at least a handful of articles every month, just going back and reviewing them. And then just over time, like just keep chipping away at it, clawing away at it, and then just make more out of what it is that I have. I'm scrolling back over to the chat because it has been active. I see Pete and Dee talking to each other. And then Maeve says 2,000 posts is about 8.3 per working day. I know, right? It's a lot. It is a lot. And I'm not sure I'm going to make it, but that's okay. That's okay. Seriously, that 2,000 posts would be amazing. But if I don't make it there based upon the amount of money that I have to invest and the time, then that's all right. I'm going to be happy with that. There's Soren. Soren, I feel like we haven't caught up with you in a while. I know you have been really busy offline and it's hard with like COVID and life and stuff, but it's good to see you back. Eric says that he launched his Icarus site last weekend. He said he wanted to have as few plugins as possible and have no SEO plugin. He's afraid it will not index. Yeah, you don't need an SEO plugin. As long as you have a sitemap, and you don't need Rank Math or Yoast to make that happen. You can get a sitemap created and uploaded in other ways. I can think of several people, like Reddit Phil, I don't think uses an SEO plugin, and he's had plenty of success getting traffic without an SEO plugin. Sarah says that she likes having big goals, but sometimes has more stress than needed. Yeah. She says she's trying to hit 600 articles this year written by myself. So for me, if I had to write 600 articles myself in 1 year, I would probably keel over and burn out. So you have my respect, my dear, because I could not do it. Eric says, saying hi to Soren and complimenting him on his last YouTube video. Yes, I saw that, and it is on my to-do list to take a look at that today while I am working. Adrian says that an SEO plugin is not necessary. Just give it some time. Joanne says, aiming for 25 a month as I am doing them. I will eventually need help when it makes more money. People saying hi. Sarah says, I think that the income school numbers are much higher than most. I'm happy at this point if an article gets 100 views a month. So what is it that you think then about the income school numbers? You say, I don't think what you're saying is that they are inflated. What I think you're saying is that income school, their clients, their students get more page views a month. So the question is, well, what are they doing and why? I mean, I'm not a student, so I don't know. Or what you think. Dee says, I'm lucky if the majority of my articles get 20 page views per month. So, I mean, that's the thing about comparisons, right? Like sometimes comparing, keyword to keyword or site to site makes sense, but a lot of times it doesn't, because if you're really angling for low competition keywords that don't have a lot of search volume, then it's not realistic to compare. It's not apples to apples. It's apples and carrots. Zach says, LOL, I'm happy if 5% of my articles get 700 page views a month. Look, if I ever have an article that gets 100 page views a month, then I feel like, with the low competition stuff, I'm like, oh, good enough. If every article gets at least 100 page views a month, then I know how much content that I need to get to 200,000 page or 300,000. I just do. Margaret says, I think the calculation is skewed by including recent articles that haven't aged. Oh, good point. Good point. I mean, if you did a big push of content, then do the calculation. It would be misleading. That's true. And I don't really know what like when to say that content is aged in, right? Like, because some of the stuff that I have posted in the last month is getting traffic, right? A lot of it isn't, but some of it is. You're like, okay, when can I say like this is as good as it's going to be? And I guess if I stopped posting anything and waited for 6 to 9 months, that would be it. But that's not going to happen, at least not for a while. Anthony says, income schools numbers are inflated. They should look at the median, not the average. There is John. What's up? Anthony with the stats smackdown. Eric says that he unsubscribed from the Income School YouTube channel after that video where they state that one does get 700 page views per article on average. That's just nonsense. So I could see how, let's say this. So they could be, you could look at it like, oh, you need post 170 articles and they would all get 700 page views a month and win. But really, what you probably need to do to get 170 articles that get 700 page views a month is post several hundred more than that. And at the end, so really, all you'd say, oh, well, you just need to get 200 articles that meet this minimum traffic goal. I'm like, yeah, that's true, right? It's just how much content do you really need to post to get there? Because, the 80/20 rule or how that plays out. Marika, what's going on? It's good to see you, dear. It says, yeah, the income school calculation was way off, an outlier, not the norm. Game guy, what's going on? So I can't believe that diabetic game guy is here. He's on vacation. Like that is dedication right there. He's like getting on a boat right now. Not right now. He's packing to get on the boat, I should say. Still very important. Do not bring your laptop. I do not expect to see you or hear from you while you are on this vacation, unless it's pictures. Take pictures. Anthony apparently got an Otis domain, which is exciting. So he will also be doing a case study similar to the Icarus project, except hopefully much better. Andy dropped in and then retracted his message. I don't know what happened there. Game Guy says, my theory on the income school numbers is that the people with good numbers report. Truth. Those with lower numbers don't share. Well, maybe they don't stay within the school, right? If you're not having a good experience, you're not having success, then you probably wouldn't be hanging out in the forums and responding to emails or taking the survey in the Facebook group or in the Discord or wherever it is that they hang out. The skewing there averages upward. Nothing shady in my opinion, just human nature. Zach says, I don't think income school exaggerates intentionally, but they are employing some highly misleading, not likely intentionally methods with how they compile their stats. Maeve said, mom joke. Okay. Because Josh is not here for the dad jokes. She says, what part of the body is the last to die? And it says the eyes because they dilate. Zach says, in other words, they are marketers, not statisticians. Exactly. Sarah says that she's not an income school student, so I'm not sure if their program can produce more traffic. Yeah, I'm not a part of their program. I haven't been in it, so I cannot formulate or deliver an opinion about a product that I have not had access to. Trying to reach their own numbers did make me feel something. She had some feels about progress. Yeah, I mean, comparisons are the thief of joy, right? Like comparing ourselves to other people and other, like it has value, right? Like some value, but as long as you understand that it's not everything. It is not everything. Anthony says if one person makes $100,000 per month and 9 people make zero, on average, that person makes $10,000 per month. Is truth. It does it how the data, the underlying data, it does influence the outcome. Corey says the number was based on Income School's most recent survey or latest survey. I'm not there, but my latest round of content is closer to a 400 to 500 page view average, which is awesome. That's great. Yes, I think she is taking over from Josh. So I did have a question come in. Sabina, our friend, Mom Ben Up, was unable to be here today, but I'm sure she will be catching this on the replay. But she had a question. It says glossary style posts. And generally, I don't do glossary style posts. I just haven't gotten around to it. She's talking about doing a main page with short definitions that link to fairly short pages up to 700 words that give them a more in-depth answer, all very interlinked, to try and get traffic. I have not done any sort of glossary pages. I mean, it could be hundreds of posts, right? You say, okay, like having a resource dictionary and having a main page that just says what they are and then links to the other posts and like to the explanations, maybe with examples. Like that could be a great way to try to build out topical authority, right? To get as many posts into the site to show that you're an authority, to have lots of keywords, related keywords on the site, on the domain. Has anybody else done a glossary style setup or page? And if so, how's that playing out for you? Did you feel like it was a worthwhile investment in your time and your money? I'm curious. I don't have one. As far as I'm just sitting here thinking about the good or bad from this. Like the good could be building topical authority in the niche, and then also if somebody lands on the page, they might have a reason to stay longer, right? Like somebody who really wants to learn, like you would have a lot more assets on the site. You would also have the ability to interlink to the glossary a lot. Like let's say you're just in your regular article about something unrelated to the glossary, and then anytime you use these industry specific words, then you could link to your own glossary rather, or your own dictionary, your own resource dictionary, rather than sending people away or explaining it in the article itself. um, just it seems like if you say there's hundreds of articles potentially there to be able to do that, it seems like a big investment. I probably want to know what the competitiveness is for those terms, right? Like maybe I wouldn't want to pursue, fence post, but could you say, oh well, if you had a whole glossary, could you be more competitive for this competitive term because you have all the rest of that content on your site? I don't know. I'm curious to see what people have to say. Maeve says that she spent the day doing videos for new writers, then playing with Link Whisper, finding it useful so far. I have both the free version of Link Whisper and the paid version of it. I rarely use the suggested links, like going through and then having Link Whisper place the links, but I do just like having the interface that shows me the number of internal links and external links and having it sortable and searchable based upon links. I do like that aspect of it, and that's pretty much what I use it for. So if the free version had the report section, I would be pretty thrilled with it. I just rarely use the suggested links, and because it doesn't save me time, because when I sometimes the links that it looks for aren't links that I would want, or the anchor text just needs so much editing. I'm like, I might as well just do it myself. Ariel dropping in. What is going on? Thank you for checking in. How's it going? How was your month of February? You are one of the busiest people I know. And as a parent, I know how hard it is to find time to do everything. So, what's going on? Pete says the P24 plan calls for too few published articles when the average page views are lower. Completely messes up a 2-year plan for all the students who stick religiously to it. Yeah, I mean, if somebody wanted to get there in 12 months, the thing is that it doesn't take into account like the indexing situation if that continues. So if they say, oh, all you need to do is post X number of posts. Maybe if you did that at the beginning of the year and then had 12 months to sort it out. But if you are not front loading your work to the beginning of the year, then posting things in November, December probably won't do that much to be able to get you there. Thought I saw Pastor Duke dropping in. What's going on? I love it when Pastor Duke drops in because he always has something positive to say. Just he's got a great positive attitude, and it's a good reminder for some of us who get, I guess, deep in the trenches, in the mental load of this business. Like it's a reminder that it is a privilege to be able to do this and have the freedom to work in my bedroom without having to commute to work and without having to wear a suit anymore and deal with people. With people. Sarah says that she has not done any glossary style posts. Okay. Maeve says, based on Sean Marr's 20-minute blog posts, simple, quick, 1,000 word articles. Yeah, you guys are talking about something else, and I'm lost. I'm sorry. I'm like, Eric says no glossary posts. Dee says for her with Link Whisper, the suggested links are normally way out there. Yeah, I agree with that. Pete wants to know, in what training programs does student perform as well or outperform the teacher? Rare results. So income school using their results as a bar for their students. That's true. That's true. And also you say that might be the result of somebody who has been doing it for a while or really knows what they are doing versus could you expect a beginner? And I mean, I wasn't. If I, as a beginner, I definitely was not there and that wasn't going to happen for me. Pastor Duke says it is a good day in Mesquite, Nevada. Yes, I have to guess that the weather is better. I'm like looking out my window right now. It is gray, 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 and raining. Ariel says that she needs to update her Project Icarus input. Yes, well, as often as you like. But all is well. Everything is on track. Busy but hyper focused, not burned out. That is the key. Is how do you maintain that output for a long period of time without just the mental load crushing you? I'd be curious to see how that plays out for you later in the year because going all out, all out or get out, you can't do that forever. Zach says that he's kind of meh about the suggested links, but their orphan post report is nice. I do like that as well. I frequently check that and then just work from that versus going through and like scanning manually for the links. Zach says that he doesn't have a glossary, but he does have some giant listicle articles that serve a similar purpose. There. Pastor Duke says it is sunny and will be 81 today, and that sounds lovely. Well, folks, it is top of the hour. I have had a great time talking with you all. I have been completely unmotivated and have got nothing done yet today so far. So I am going to sneak off and get to work. But as always, it was great to see and hear from everybody to drop in on this Wednesday. And I'm glad that Pastor Duke left us with at least some positivity. Uh, I want to just send some positive thoughts to the folks around the world who are having a tough time right now. I feel like that's the only thing that I can do at this moment. And it feels like nothing, right? And people say it's better than nothing. It feels like nothing, but there are folks out there who need help and love and support and thinking about them today and every day until things are, I guess, resolved, settled, quieted, you know. Anyway, yes, Wednesday. I will see here, talk to you all next week. Have a productive week. Be kind to yourself and hit the like button on your way out. Yes. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.